We are winging it today, but we're here in live interviewing Professor Nez from Nez Nation, and that is the interview today. We're going to have some fun. We'll see you in just a minute.
I'm not seeing the slideshow.
Hey guys, is this on your YouTube channel? I can go check this out.
I'm not showing the slideshow yet.
What YouTube channel is it on, Tim?
Hang on.
Marketing Smarties?
Yeah.
Marketing Smarties Candy? Oh, okay, I see it. Very cool.
We have been stumbling along this morning putting this show together, and mostly because YouTube decided to give us a gremlin glitch. And we are here. We're about 10-15 minutes late, and I appreciate the fact that some people may have been waiting to join the broadcast. And if you have, please post a comment and let us know what's going on with you. Tell us where you're coming from and so forth. We've got a special interview today, so we're going to get right down to it. My name is Roland from MinMax Media. We bring you the DIYLivestreamingshow.com website and the Saturday morning Marketing Smarties show. And this particular show is dedicated to the concept of live streaming, but it's because of our special guest, who we will introduce shortly. First, we're going to tell you about our comment wrangler, who is also with me today. Tim Longwell, say hi and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Tim Longwell with Longwell Art. Welcome everyone to this morning's Marketing Smarties. YouTube's monkeys finally got their stuff together. And that's our official statement from YouTube, by the way. I'm, as some of you may know and others not, I endeavor to help you reignite your creativity to benefit from the mental and physical health bonuses that are released when you create. And I'm in Southeast Oklahoma.
I think you better rewrite that, Tim.
Nothing is going right this morning. You know, that's usually a lot smoother.
And maybe have it on a little card so you can just read it off. No, I know you've been working on stuff, but that's a gas. It's kind of funny. Anyway, yeah, Tim has been joining me a lot on Saturdays, and he's a great comment wrangler, and he basically brings together the concept that we've got an audience and we've got people in the green room, and we want to bring them into the conversation and include them in the actual production of what's going on, because we are three heads going on here, but there are a lot of heads and a lot of brains in the world. So it's wonderful that we can answer questions, we can ask you questions, and we can actually have a conversation that includes the audience. And with that, we are going to include Professor Nez. So Professor Nez, thank you very much for showing up today with us and dealing with all these gremlins. And we are finally here. We're finally broadcasting live. And why don't you come on board, say hi to everybody, and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, I just got to say, this is fantastic, and I'm so happy and honored to be here. So thank you, Roland and Tim. I'm a big admirer of you guys. I think you guys are creative, fun, and very professional, and you know that I'm a live stream nut job, and I absolutely love this space. I'm a career coach. I'm a live video streaming consultant. I'm also a writing professor, an actual writing professor. Some of you, after this interview, you may be like, this guy's teaching our youth? No wonder we're going down the toilet. But anyway, so I also have a digital consulting business that, I'm very, very proud of. And I have 2 live stream shows. I have my Nez Nation live show. Tim watched it last night. Tim was there. We had an amazing guest, and I've got my Monday Mindset live show, and I go live pretty much, all the time. Absolutely love it. More than just a tool for business, I think it's an unbelievable way to humanize who you are and really emotionally connect with your audience. So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
And you're probably doing with this prolific video generation, you're doing the one thing that'll be the most impactful in the end result because you're creating content. And it's all the most valid content because it's the real you. Without you being in somebody's living room or standing next to their TV, this is the second best thing. And as I said a couple of years ago in a video, I said, basically, you know, live streaming is it. You just really can't fake this. You know, when you're in front of the camera and you express yourself, eventually, whatever it is, the real you is going to show.
Yeah.
And people are either going to believe you or not, and then they're going to stay or go. And that's the dividing line. It's like how to make people stay is by being authentically you and have attracting the people who want to watch you, who want to be involved in your conversation and so forth. So this is, I love it because you are so enthusiastic about live streaming, and we're going to dig into why that is in just a little bit. But before we move to that, because once we get on it, we're going to be there for the entire hour. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about your authorship, your writing, because you've written, I don't know, 3, 6, how many books?
Well, it'll be 8 books. Hopefully, I'm finishing up one right now, and I've been kind of saying that for the last. I don't want to. I'm almost chagrined to admit this, but I've been working on it for about 1.5 years, and a lot of stuff has gotten in the way, obviously. Yeah, it's so funny because I actually started out. You know, if you read some of my bios or what have you, I like to start with I'm a storyteller at heart. And I think within the context of this show and talking about marketing and talking about live streaming and talking about content creation, really storytelling, I think, needs to be at the epicenter of it. So, you know, and this really kind of speaks to my transition. If I don't even know if that's the right word, transition, more like just my falling in love with live streaming it was a natural sort of beautiful, you know, progress or evolution into live streaming because of my storytelling roots. You know, being a writing professor, aside from that, I'm an author. You know, I started off really in this sort of content creation context as an author, as a writer. You know, I've published books on Amazon. I've partnered with people on textbooks. I've written hundreds of short stories and poems, really bad poems that have gotten published. Actually, I've been lucky enough. Hundreds of blogs and articles. You know, the power of words, the power of language has always been my deep-seated love, and trying to not only understand people, not only understand culture, not only understand society and other people, your family and friends, but I think more importantly to understand who I was. Writing has always been this therapeutic thing for me, and now I'm turning it into a career as a consultant, as a coach. I'm helping people, you know, on LinkedIn. I'm getting a lot of, thankfully, very blessed. I'm getting a lot of people come to me and ask me for writing assistance. And it's been just wonderful because that's part of the reason I went into being a writing professor. Was I thought to myself, this was about 20 years ago, how cool would it be to have a job where I can talk to people about something I love and get paid for it? Does that sound familiar in the live streaming space too? Right?
Sounds like a catchphrase that I use all the time. Do what you love, and eventually you'll get paid for it.
That's exactly it. I mean, because they don't pay professors anything. I mean, professors don't get paid jack. If you think you're going to go into it with money in your mind, education is the wrong place to go, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me. You're better off working at Starbucks. They get paid a hell of a lot more.
Oh,
it's
wow.
Sad. It's a sad fact. The administrator, I mean, you know, the president of our university gets like $2.7 million, and I don't even know what they do. I mean, they probably shake hands all day. But, you know, us professors, we literally get peanuts. And I'm not looking for an excuse. I'm just saying, you hear a lot of people say, wow, professor, that'd be I'm sure they get paid a lot. And if you don't love it, if you're not passionate about it, and again, you can use this as an umbrella, even for live streaming and anything. If your heart's not beating for it, if you don't have locomotive in your chest to do it, don't do it, because there are easier ways, as the great Gabriel Marquez said. there are easier ways to starve yourself. Trust me.
Yeah. And that exactly is the underlying premise on this show. Do what you love, because if you don't start there, you're not going to be able to sustain it. You're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to stay. You're not going to be a happy camper. You're not going to give good services in your field and provide a good product or service. It's not going to be there unless you love it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not to sound bumper stickery either. I don't want it to come across as, hey, everybody, go follow your passion and dreams and hopes and just do it, right? Like, I think at a practical level, just at a very, very ground level sort of mindset, I don't see how you can avoid burnout. I don't see how you can avoid drudgery. I don't see how you can avoid misery in your workplace or whatever it is that you do, quote unquote, for a living, if your heart's not into it, because I've seen what that looks like. I've been in every single job you can imagine, from being a custodian, a paper boy, to starting businesses, to in the public sector, private sector. And the people who are not in it, or people whose heart has sort of died, you can see that coming a million miles away. And it's an ugly look. It's a very ugly look. There's a lot of professors out there, and God bless them. I'm not judging them. But there's a lot of professors who've given up. They've just given up. They don't. Their heart's not into it. Now, me personally, I want to get out of education. I mean, I'll be honest with this audience right here, Roland and Tim and everybody watching. I want to get out of education, which is why I'm going all in the digital space and digital entrepreneurship and live streaming. I feel I actually can do more good, and the administrative bureaucracy of education it's confining, if anything, to put it mildly. So I don't see how you can be good at something if this thing right here in your chest isn't beating emphatically for it.
Absolutely. I know that we can spend the rest of the hour talking just about this one subject, this micro subject.
Yes.
But let's actually move.
Sure.
And by the way, I wanted to say hi to a few people because we got a few of our regulars. Isaac is Tim's son. But we wake.
Oh, Isaac, yeah. Isaac was on the stream, I think. Hey, Isaac.
Yeah. We Wake is out there, and he's a good friend of ours. And also, Kathy Pop has checked in, and she's a really great, strong contributor. And even if you're in your pajamas, thank you for showing up, Kathy. And you're welcome, even in your pajamas. And
I'm going commando from the waist down. I'm commando. No, I'm kidding. That's a joke.
Wow, this show started off on one vein, but it took it a quantum leap.
Now it's sounding like old Mia on the Goes, What's on the Bottom, where she had everybody stand up at the end of the show.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Exactly. Yeah. That's one of the beauties of live streaming. You can go commando, folks.
So let's collect ourselves here and regroup. We're really on the concept of live streaming because that's what my show is all about. That's why I got into this show, and I've only been doing it myself for 3 years. But apparently, we are on the edge of the wave, still as early adopters of a concept that's going to be very, very big in the next couple of years. And we've been talking about being big, and it doesn't feel like the movement is there, but I know it's creeping up on us. It's going to build up, and everybody's going to want to be doing this, so that in 2020, everyone's going to say, oh, yeah, you've got to be live streaming. And then the rest of us who are early adopters say, nope, buddy, it's too late. You should have started 3 years ago. And now we're doing this, or now we're doing that. But anyway, let's focus on the concept of live streaming. And for you, you started about mid-2016, maybe? Is that when you started?
Early 2016, late 2015 on Periscope. And so as far as, it's so funny because I think it's funny, at least, when I live streaming, and I think I talked to Ross Brand from Livestream Universe about this too. Every time I go to work, right, every time I teach a class, it's basically a live stream, isn't it? Like, I'm going live in front of an audience, and I have something to hopefully bring to them, something to help them with, or some kind of value, is a really kind of abused word right now, to my audience, correct? So it's interesting. I feel like I've been going live for like 30 years, but in this kind of context, I'm very, very green. Yes, I'm learning a lot from people like you, Roland, people like Tim, people like Ross and Todd.live and other people in the space. I would say in this context, in the live streaming, the way that it's sort of exploded in the last couple of years, yeah, definitely only barely 2 years, if that, year and a half, 2 years. That's correct.
But the thing about your presentation is you use the word green, but you are not green, because the whole talent of live streaming is to be able to stand in confidence and speak your mind. I mean, whether you're doing it on a camera, whether you're doing it in front of a group of people, the skills are very similar.
Yeah.
And so some people get in front of a group of people. I know I used to do that, and my voice would kind of crack and shake, and I couldn't breathe. And it's like, you know, and I can't even do what my voice used to do, you know. And but that's the way it was at one time. And nowadays, it's like I turn on the microphone. Yeah, go ahead. Turn on the camera. Yeah, no big deal. And it's like, you ready to start? Yep. And it's no big deal, but it's from a lot of exposure in similar type of situations that gave me the confidence in myself to proceed. And you have that. So it's not a matter of being green to something. You were meant to do this. And everything you've done in the past, speaking in front of people and various things, that led to this stage where it's an easy transition. And it's not so much you left the other behind and this is new. You're taking everything that you've been doing and have done and encapsulating it into who you are to present as in a new format, but it's the real you. And I like the fact that you bring all this experience with you in front of people and have a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, so, thank you. That means a lot to me. Yeah, thank you so much. I kind of like to say, Roland, that I like to keep this, and Tim, I know you've kind of heard me say this probably before. I like to always think of myself as an eternal student, and that's just my own psychological sort of mechanism to keep myself humble. And I think if, you know, there's a great saying by the great Zen master Suzuki, who said, you know, beginner's mind. In a beginner's mind, the world is full of possibilities. In the expert's mind, the world is full of zero possibilities. So I try to keep that. I love that concept of keeping that beginner's mind. And, you know, when I first started going live, I went live almost every day. You know, I went live a lot because I just fell head over heels. I mean, it truly is a Shakespearean love story with me in live streaming. I fell in love with it. It was just, to me, it was like, let's take away, especially as an author, because I didn't really adopt the branding of Professor Nez until much later. You know, it started off as Peter Nez, author. And I think Tim might remember this, or some other people might remember this. And to me, it was like, wow, let's take away the publisher. Let's take away the editor. Let's take away the interns. Let's take away distribution. Let's take away everything that's in the way between you and your audience, and just go here, bam, go straight to them. You know, I've joked before, I think Shakespeare would have loved live streaming. I think Mark Twain would have been a live streaming emperor. You know, he would have,
my God,
he would have just imagine with his personality, or Jack Kerouac, right? The Beat Generation, somebody like Allen Ginsberg or Jack Kerouac, if they went live, you know, on Facebook, if they had this technology back then, you know, somebody like Balzac too. Balzac was a real character, you know. I mean, imagine, to me, it was like this unbelievable way to basically get rid of all the middle people and go straight to the source. And I fell in love with that.
Wow. And, you know, this is what shows through when I watch some of your videos and you talk about concepts. It's just you and the camera, right? I mean, you're not interviewing anybody, or nobody's interviewing you. You're just there on the camera talking. And you speak with such passion about the concept of live streaming. And this is really how I feel myself. And I've been talking to people about this for 5 or 6 years, trying to talk someone else into doing it. And give or take a couple of years, and nobody would bite. Nobody wanted to produce a show with me. So I just decided, to hell with it. I'm going to produce my own show and just do it. And you guys can go away. I don't want to build you websites anymore. I don't want to do this. I'm just going to go do this show. Yeah. And that's how the Smarty Show got started. That's exactly how we got started.
I think that's brilliant. I love it. I think this is a great format. I love your lower third. I love your concept. I love the title. I see the banner on YouTube. I think it's I'm truly, I mean this, Roland and Tim, I truly am grateful. I feel honored to be on this show. This is a great format. And I think actually that might have been a blessing in disguise. I think you creating this, your own platform, so to speak, I see nothing but elevation. I see nothing but growing.
Thank you. I had a really pointed question to ask you about live streaming, because for decades, literally, the objective in internet marketing was to drive people to your own website, your own real estate in your territory. And then I read this article from 2016, I think February, from the Entrepreneur magazine online, so entrepreneur.com. And God, if I could find that, let me see if I can, because it doesn't make any sense if I just say, oh, I have read this somewhere. But I actually, this was a statement posted in Entrepreneur magazine. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Did it related to probably, if I may just guess or summarize, did it relate to basically creating your own kind of property, so to speak, in the internet as opposed to using a platform?
It actually did not, but
okay.
here's, I just found it. Here's what it said. Entrepreneur magazine, February 2016. Can I embed a live broadcast in my website? The answer is no, but you can save your live broadcast after it's over and then upload it to YouTube or another video sharing service that allows you to embed their content in your site. Now, that was February 2016. Some know-it-all, right? Some expert said, no, you can't live stream to your website. Well, I've been doing it for almost a year now. And so shortly after he said we can't do it, I was doing it. So the technology adjusted, probably. The technology, YouTube had YouTube Live, and you were able to feed that into, get your website verified and so forth, all lined up and all situated so you can do it. And then you can just embed it right in your website. And then the struggle was for a long time, how do we get a good comment stream system locked in with this? Like, does it go below? Does it go, where does it go? And how does it work? And that led me to develop the VCP plugin, because nobody had a good comments system.
Yeah.
Nothing would work. Nothing was evergreen. It was not practical. And now we're live streaming, and we almost did this in Be Live instead of Hangouts, because Hangouts was having a problem. But even Be Live, I could have had that stream right to my website. But when you ask the authorities, they say, no, we can't do that right now. You can embed the thing, but you can do this, but you can't do everything. Right. And so there are always limitations and stuff. I want to ask you, what do you think the future of live streaming in your website could possibly be? And how important is it to live stream in your website?
Yeah, this is probably nothing new to your audience and nothing new to you and Tim. I think it's absolutely important. And this is something I have to be completely transparent. I'm still working on. I have not really, I've taken kind of, I haven't worked as hard as I need to create that sort of, I think creating your own property, creating your own, I have 2 .live domains. I think I love that .live domain name, that URL. And I have 2 of them. I have one for neznation.live and Professor Nez.live. And I think it's absolutely important to eventually funnel everybody towards your own property, right? I mean, have that list, have that audience understand where is the hub. I think creating your live stream hub on YouTube, creating your live stream hub on Facebook, I don't think that these platforms are going to go anywhere. But the fact that they have all the control is something I think a live streamer should be aware of, especially if you take this seriously, especially if you have some type of purpose, some type of vision that you want to communicate to an audience, and you want to if you're really taking it serious in the sense that I feel the future of live streaming, I feel that this is going to become an actual title, an actual position, much like social media strategist or marketing director. There's going to be chief live stream, ambassador, because this is, I think, an unbelievable tool that humanizes your brand. It personalizes everything. Like you said it so eloquently, Roland, you can't hide anything. You can't hide anything on video. You can hide a lot on paper. You can hide a lot in a press release or a newsletter, or we have a spokesperson who made a statement. But imagine if the CEO, okay, imagine if the CEO of, Fox Incorporated or the CEO of Coca-Cola went live and just talked to the audience and said, I'm here to take some questions. I'm here to let you know what we're doing with our business, right? And if he's not comfortable doing that, you've got people like us three, right, that you can contract our services, and we can be that live stream message. We can be that face to the company for you. I truly feel that's the future of live streaming. And I need to really capitalize on my domains, and I'm starting to get that process rolling. But if I was really, really honest with you guys, I'm not working hard enough on that, and I need to. My website, professornez.com, needs a lot of work. I just haven't. Yeah.
There's a lot there.
I do think, Roland, sorry, really quickly, I do think that the future of live streaming, okay, there's no way you can predict this, but I do think that this is the most powerful tool. If you're a marketer, if you have a business, if you have an organization, a client services industry business, or what have you, or if you just want to sell products, I think you can turn live streaming into QVC. If it's from you and your passion, energy, and you're able to communicate what that value is, it's a no-brainer. I mean, just think of this, there's zero cost involved. There's zero cost involved, right? So it's a no-brainer. And I think, and to answer another question, people always ask me, do you think everybody should go live? No, I don't think everybody should go live. But
Agreed.
I think every business, I think every industry should capitalize on live streaming in some way. And you can hire people. You can hire people. You can contract somebody's services, somebody who does this, somebody who loves to do this. It's just like creating a website. I don't know anything about creating a website, but I know I need one. So I'll hire Roland. I'll hire a professional to do that, who knows how to do it and who perhaps can put some love into it, right?
That is very true. And I long ago got over the idea of trying to learn how to do everything myself. And even in the internet marketing business, I decided SEO is not my thing. PPC is not my thing. I like working with the interface and presenting, but because I like taking people from zero to speeding. But the concept is people don't know what they have or what they want. They just know that there's an opportunity online. And so they try to fit in whatever makes sense to them at the time, and to inject it into a website concept. And as opposed to the person that goes, God, I just really love doing this, I got to tell the world. That's a completely different setup. And I can work with the second one. It's very, very hard to work with the first one because the people don't know what they want. So how can I make them happy as a designer?
Yeah, exactly.
So this is very important stuff. And thank you. I really agree with you regarding live streaming and where it's going to be going. And I think that Ted Rubin, the social media guy, basically said, and I'll paraphrase it. He goes, the biggest marketing trend in 2017 is going to be live streaming. The biggest marketing trend is going to be live streaming. And he made the point, the point is that you can grab your audience and have them part of the conversation.
Yeah,
they can be part of the live.
In general too. I mean, I know Tim's seen me do this, and other people, using video for Twitter. I mean, just personalizing who you are, humanizing. I think LinkedIn, now that LinkedIn has adopted native video, this is a whole. I mean, I'm getting amazing ROI on my LinkedIn videos. People are. I've actually had people. For me, for my client services business, I love getting on the phone with people. You know me, I'm like a mountain of energy and passion, right? So when I get on the phone with somebody, it's like a 99% close. I know I'm going to close them. I mean, it's very rare that somebody's not willing to work with me. And I love it because it's my business and I care about it, right? I've actually had people say, I want to work with you because I saw your video. I want to work with you because I saw your live stream. I get your energy. I get your tone. I get your vibe. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. It's just a way to blast out your narrative in all these myriad ways and forms, right, in different platforms and reach different audiences. And it's, if you just put in a little work, it's not difficult. And I agree with you. You can't do everything yourself. And I'm eventually going to start having to hire people, to join my team. I've already got a couple people who, I'm talking to, and that's okay. That's fantastic. That's great. That's a sign that you're growing. But I think what my point here is that, you know, if you need help learning how to become more confident, or if you really feel that you want to do it, great. But if you don't, there's plenty of people, I think, if you just do a little investigation, a little research, who can help you with that. And yeah, what Ted said, yeah, marketing trend. And I don't really like to talk about marketing trends, or I don't know much about marketing trends, but I do know that what I see are results, and results speaks volumes.
Exactly. And you were talking about the various delivery modes. I remember a client contacted me and wanted an answer via email. So it's like, ask me a question, and the respondent is the designer. And I thought, well, I could type him an email, or I could record a video, answer his question, and email it to him. A link in Google Plus. I mean, in Google Gmail, if you send somebody the link, it plays right there in the email.
Right.
So that's an added advantage.
Yes.
That's nowhere else that I know of.
Right.
And so I sent him the video, and he went head over heels because he was able to see me. He met me essentially. He heard me deliver. I talked openly for 5 minutes about his answer. I said, I hope that helps, and if I can be of service, give me a call. He called me almost immediately after he received the video. It has such a power that goes beyond what normal texting and normal conveyance of messaging in the digital world. It's way, way more powerful.
Yeah.
Let's see what Tim's got coming down the pipe here.
Yeah, Kathy Pop is chiming in that she agrees with you, Roland, that those tasks that you love doing, outsource the rest if you can. So she's actually agreeing with Peter as well. And that she goes on that live streaming and stories will be the biggest marketing trends. And yes, people are starting to realize that without a story, you don't have anything to say.
Right. Pretty much, because of the story, it tells why people should even be listening to you. If your story doesn't make sense to them, you're not relevant. And so to understand where you've been and why you're saying what you're doing, to understand that is to tell your story and get that across. Then everything you say makes a whole lot more sense, and it carries a lot more weight, right? So it really is all about the story. And now when we've got live streaming, we've got the modus operandi to deliver it the best. So I had a couple of other things I do not want to forget. We covered your books. You are a job counselor, and we talked about your work with LinkedIn. And so I want to dig in a little bit more.
Not a job counselor, more of a career coach. I wouldn't
career coach. Okay.
A job counselor.
Yeah, that
sounds like somebody who sits in the high school guidance counselor office.
Yeah.
I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I don't want to no misleading.
So let's
be more accurate. Job counselor, probably people wouldn't even turn their head towards me.
Right. So as a career coach, what is it that you do?
So I basically do a lot of things. I help them with their like you said, their storytelling in a two-dimensional context. I help them with their resume. I help them with their LinkedIn profile. I also help them with some strategies on, a lot of my clients are in the tech space mostly, and they have a difficulty communicating who they are, what their value is, what they bring to the table, what their skill sets really mean, in a written format. And then I also coach them on some various ways that they can represent themselves in an interview effectively, confidently, and just assertively, just so they're understood more clearly. And if they need help with any sort of career guidance based on that sort of framework, I also assist them with that as well.
And so when we extrapolate that out now to the LinkedIn concept, and you also brought in that LinkedIn is integrating their native video.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that, and how can we best take advantage of that? How do we use the
Absolutely.
facility of video in LinkedIn?
Well, just like what we've been saying for everything, LinkedIn is not stupid, right? Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, just acquired LinkedIn for $26 billion. These are not stupid people. This is the most professional network on the internet. Okay. I like to call it Facebook with a tie, but they're loosening up their they're loosening the reins a little bit. So what that means is that they're actually trying to pay attention to the culture. They're trying to pay attention to how people are communicating and how people are networking, and they understand the power of video. They understand that 99% of people have a device in their pocket or near them that they can actually communicate in really powerful ways visually in a three-dimensional context. And now they've actually allowed, and by the way, Tim, I have this on my desktop now too. They never had a native video integration or interface, and they do now. So you can literally, just like on Twitter, just like on Instagram, just like on Facebook, anywhere, on Snapchat stories, you can literally, if you want to use your desktop, if you want to use your device, your iPad or what have you, or tablet, you can literally just look into that camera. I've been actually coaching a lot of my clients to do video resumes. I produced a video proposal that is actually selling and accruing clients for me, right? I don't have to get on the phone all the time. You know, it's a lot of energy, it's a lot of time to get on the phone with every client, even though I don't mind that. But my video does it for me, it does all the selling for me. And you can literally just go on LinkedIn. I think the best way to do it is to establish connection. It's all about establishing connection. Talk about what interests you. Talk about what you do. Literally just click the record button and just talk about, you know, who you are. Why should people pay attention to you? What is it that you offer? What are some things that you specialize in? What's your expertise? And you can build this community. And by building this community, you can scale and grow and establish yourself as an authority, perhaps on a specific subject or a specific niche or niche. I don't know what they call it. What do you guys call it? Niche or niche?
It depends on whether you're French or not, I think.
Aha, I see. So it's
if you're an American, it's niche. And if you have a bent towards European background, it would be niche.
What do you call it, Tim?
I actually catch myself using both.
Okay. I always do as well. I like niche. I always thought it was always niche originally, but now everybody's like, no, it's niches. It's niches. So anyway, using video to
yeah, I did learn it as niche.
Niche.
But then
yeah, it's niche.
I got an old style education, so
right. But yeah, I think that it's the best thing that ever happened to LinkedIn, to be honest. I think that the website I think the best thing that ever happened to LinkedIn was being acquired by Microsoft too.
I agree.
I think that it's 500 million members strong. I mean, what they essentially paid for is the most expensive email list on the planet, right? I mean, essentially, that's what they paid for.
Yeah.
And I think
with the most money in their pockets too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this is going to be, I mean, I'm getting leads like crazy on LinkedIn. I'm connecting with people like crazy within my industry, people who need my services or people who are interested in what I'm doing. You know, whether that's going to play out in the future or not. So many people, I hear a lot of people complain, well, you know, I always get these weird endorsements, or I always get these strange requests, or people pinging me. And so, like, you don't get that on Facebook, like you don't get that on Instagram, like you don't get that on Snapchat. I mean, I get pinged all the time by some, you know, woman named Laquita living in Ecuador, you know, saying, hey, I think you're cute. And I'm like, okay. Where do we go from here? What's the point of this? This happens all the time. Does that mean that people have been complaining that LinkedIn has this, but it's the same on every platform. There's always going to be those. I'm going to put that in quotes. There's always going to be those.
Yes.
So why let that stifle or impede your ability to grow and your ability to communicate and connect with real people? It's everywhere.
And you got that back when it was just postcard mail. Or flyers in the mailbox.
Right. Exactly.
It's only changed on how you get it because you've changed how you receive things.
I mean, you could go to a bar and that could happen to you, right? You can go to a restaurant and that could happen to you. I mean, I took my wife to Vegas for my birthday last last year, and you couldn't walk around with having people say, hey, come on, man, come to this club, or people all over you, so we need to pay attention to what works. I always say, and Tim's heard me say this before, your attention is your sovereignty. What you give attention to, you give power to. So who are you giving your attention to? Now, I'm not saying I'm flawless. Okay. I give my attention to dumb stuff all the time, but I'm trying to become more aware of that. So I say, I actually hope that LinkedIn incorporates live streaming. I really think that would be the ultimate treasure chest. I mean, you could open up that treasure chest and just think about the unbelievable connectivity with not only B2B marketers, but think about what I do for consulting services and connecting people with connections to get them hired in the right position and jobs. The floodgates would just be bam. It would be an explosion, I think. I don't know if they're going to do it. I think if they're going to do it, it'll take a while, but I think it'd be a bold move. I think Satya Nadella is a very smart dude. He's a very under-recognized CEO, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm excited. I use LinkedIn video almost every day.
So when you say you use LinkedIn video almost every day, what exactly are you doing?
Great question. So the other day I talked about interview tactics. I just talk about things that I love. I talk about live video. I did a 10-minute video, and I think that's the max you can do on LinkedIn right now. That may change. They only max out at 10 minutes. I did an entire video on, speaking about the power of video, speaking about how LinkedIn has adopted this beautiful new feature. And here I'm going to talk to you about things that I do, things that I utilize to get the most out of your video engagement. So I literally talk about the things that I do, that I love. I talk about career stuff. I talk about writing, storytelling. I talk about video. Same thing I do on my YouTube channel. I mean, it's not that much different. It's just a different audience, a different context, a different style and delivery. YouTube needs to be my YouTube audience. Everything, the attention span is nil. It's like goose egg, right? On LinkedIn, you can kind of breathe a little bit. I think you can take a little bit more time. Facebook, somewhere in between. But yeah, I talk about what I do. I talk about what I love. I talk about how I can be of service. I talk about, if you want, I even went on there and just went so bold as to say, if you need a career coach, if you're interested in any live streaming consulting or any help with your brand, marketing, business, what have you, reach out to me. This is who I am, Professor Nez. This is exactly what I do. A, B, C, D, right? And it's just, it's not that different. It's not that different, Roland, than any other platform, except, you have to understand who your audience is, right? You have to understand what they're looking for, what they want. People on LinkedIn are looking for more ways to grow and expand who they are as an individual and as a business. On different platforms, it may be similar, but it's not quite as focused as it is on LinkedIn. Yeah. LinkedIn is more of a career-oriented, business-oriented, professional website. So you have to be aware of that when you're creating content. I think.
Exactly.
And I'm learning too. It's not like I know what the hell I'm doing. I'm learning.
There's no tutorial on it yet, so.
I mean, I don't want to come across as I want everybody to know this. I'm the farthest thing from an expert. I am not an expert, but I love doing this and I love sharing my story. I mean, even when I say I'm a consultant, even when I say I can help people with even though I've been teaching for 30 years, I'm not an expert. I love to be involved and participate in the conversation. What I like to call my client meetings is a collaboration. And that's what it really is. And I just give my 2 cents and hopefully it's valuable, and it's actually proven to be so.
Well, that's very, very cool. Maybe one of the first things that I would suggest is that you stop calling yourself not an expert because okay, there's no one else that's going to come along and say, that's the expert. So, I mean, there are a few people, the icons of the industry and stuff, but we're as expert as we need to be, and as probably as there are percentage-wise in the field, the top 10%, we're probably edging in on that top 10% as far as the users and the people who know what they're doing, as well as any terminology for the word expert in video live streaming. We're probably there.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that permission, Roland. I really do. I feel like a fraud, and I'd love to hear Tim's thoughts on this too. I kind of feel like I don't want to come off as, I don't like that kind of characterization. So that's why I use like consultant, or I'll use
Well,
advisor.
I
Yeah.
use, I've gotten in the habit over the many years, because I've been in different fields over the years. I use the term professional because to me, an expert says, I know it all. And a professional knows they still got to learn.
Right.
And there's more to learn, and there will always be more to learn.
Oh, I love that. That's perfect.
I am a live streaming enthusiast. I don't know if I'm an expert.
There you go. That's
yeah. There you go.
I don't ever want to use guru, expert, specialist, or I don't know.
There's an arrogance to that I can't stand. And
there's an arrogance to it. Exactly. I like the way you said that.
You basically nailed it a while ago when you said you don't want to come across, you don't want to express yourself that way because that's not you.
Right.
So you don't want to mislead people and associate with something that you are not.
Right.
And for you to be bold about it may be interpreted as that arrogance that you're trying to avoid. And so I can really appreciate that. And the fact that you're on this show and that we're having so much fun tells me a lot as it is. But you're not going to have to worry about conveying the wrong message because you know how to do it right.
Thank you so much.
An interesting thing too, and the one thing, some of us early adopters that are a little heavier in the forefront of early adopting, the one thing that Roberto Blake brought out, and Roberto with yourself, Nez, is that if you know 10% more than someone else, to them you are a god.
Right.
And you're the go-to person that they're going to go to because they don't know anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're 10% ahead of them, by the time they catch up, you've probably moved ahead at least another 5%.
Yeah, you don't have to know everything. You just have to know, you maybe just be farther along in the process than somebody who's come before you. And I think that that's been the sort of, the way that we've learned from people, throughout the ages, right? Just learning from people who've been through the process ahead of us or further along than we have at the current moment or time that we're doing it.
Well, and two is that, darn brain, there it went.
Sorry, that was my fault. Brain fart.
Well,
I wish I could say I never have those, but that's not true.
I think there's another thing involved.
It's gone.
It'll come back.
When we're talking about being a professional or an entrepreneur or a specialist in something, whatever, and Tim, you brought up you only have to know more than the other guy in order to be a guide for him. And it's also the fact that some people are going to need you to a certain point, and then they're going to fly off on their way, on their journey, and not need you anymore. But you're going to help them to that point. So when we're developing our niche as far as what we do, we have to pick what people we're going to coach or guide at what stage in their development and do that thing and not worry about it. Like for video, we are not movie producers. We're not going to guide people in order to make a multi-million-dollar movie, but we are going to teach them how to be comfortable on a camera and a microphone and to record themselves and use a few nuances that will enhance what they do so that they come across better without being fake, without being unreal or not believable. So that's our niche, and I think that we're well suited for that. So there's a market out there because there's so many people are going to need our help developing these skills.
Yeah. I mean, I see it also being in, not necessarily in marketing, but just, in all sorts of different avenues. And I can see it, just the entire communication sort of infrastructure really transitioning into video. I mean, Roberto and I talked about this on my show, texting, emailing, all of that could be replaced if it's not already getting there already by video, and learning how to communicate effectively, learning how to be understood. A lot of people are using Snapchat, Instagram stories, Facebook stories. There's so many stories now. And, that's something that definitely I agree. I think if you, and obviously you and Tim have it, I mean, definitely, if you have a certain degree of skills that you've come farther along than other people before you, yes, I think that teaching them is going to be very valuable, people who are new to it.
Yeah, I believe that's very true. Now,
And really, here's, if I may just really quickly, Roland, here's the thing that I think is the kind of ubiquitous common denominator, if you will, when it comes to giving a speech, when it comes to talking to somebody, having a talk for coffee, when it comes to an interview, when it comes to a marketing campaign, you got to know who you are, you got to know your purpose, and you got to know your audience. That will never change. I mean, that goes back to Aristotle 2,000 years ago. Who are you? What do you bring to the table as an author? An author in any context. What's your purpose? And who's your audience? That'll never change, right? So if you can encapsulate and customize that lens for your clients, for your services and what have you, you're going to win.
very well put. Now, Tim, did we go right over a comment that you wanted to display earlier? And was it worth discussing, bring it back? I think Kathy Pop has been making some comments. And also she asked about, do you have a link to that video? And I'm wondering, Kathy, could you make a further comment regarding which video you were referring to? And we will try to respond. And if we can find a link to that, we will reciprocate for you there. But I didn't want your question to go unanswered. And
Kathy Pop had so many input that after a while she'd needed almost a show of her own. She's just been inputting so wonderfully.
Oh, great.
I mean, from about 14 minutes ago, she mentioned that when she was talking to people about live, that people locally were poo-pooing her, and they still do. And she feels it's sad that people can be so resistant to change. But that is key importance something that the entrepreneurs need to embrace. Then she mentioned that LinkedIn is not stupid. They tend to lag behind and wait to see how things work, mainly on Facebook first, and then they move forward.
Yeah.
She compliments you that you are an expert. We're all an expert in something. No one can know everything about any topic. And I think that ties in with a comment I made about Roberto saying that if you know 10, 20, 50% more than someone else, you are a god to them.
Yeah.
So and along that line, she says that's one of the reasons why masterminds are so powerful.
Yeah.
And she's heard it from the other thing that she hears a lot from her years as a SCORE member and from teaching on and offline is that people naturally underestimate themselves. They invariably sell themselves short.
Yeah, I'm reaching the age and the period of consciousness that I don't think I can sell myself short because I really don't care. And I'm just expressing myself now. It's a stage where I think that everyone should get to the point where it's like they feel confident to express themselves. So if there's an underlying
Love that.
motive,
Well said.
if there's an underlying motive for me to produce the show is to encourage people to express themselves.
Yeah.
And in video, live streaming video is the very, very best way to do it. Now, video secondarily, that it's not live, that's a good way too. And then if you're a writer, that's fine. If you're a blogger and whatever, that's all fine. But I love video. There's nothing more impactful than that.
Yes.
Kathy is saying that she wanted to, and I thought she was, but I didn't want to speak for her. She's looking for a link to your proposal video.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, I can definitely share that.
And Barbara DeLucio wants to know, and I know I said that wrong. I butchered it. It was a slip of the tongue.
No, you did okay. You did okay.
That she wants to know if you go by Professor Nez or Peter Nez on LinkedIn.
I go by Professor Nez is my brand, being the marketing genius I am. No,
and the kid that dubbed you.
Yeah, it's funny if I can talk a little bit about that, and I actually just to kind of make sure that we're understanding that I have a client meeting at 12:30. So
okay.
Yes, I work on the weekends. I work 24/7. You know why I work 24/7? Everybody watching? Because my wife likes Louis Vuitton purses, and those are expensive. Anyway.
Okay, I can handle that.
Yeah. So my brand, if I may, just 2 seconds, guys, explain this because that's a great question. So my brand is Professor Nez. I'm trying to get out of education, not because I don't love my students and love what I do, but because the administration and the politics and the bureaucracy far surpass any politics you could ever find in corporate America. So I want to go directly to the source. I'm creating an online academy, which I've already done. So I've got several courses. I've got a live stream masterclass if you're interested. I've got a class. I got an online course on job search in the digital age. I've got a premier course on writing, from A to Z. And that so I'm using that it also sounds better, Professor Nez, than Peter Nez. You can call me Peter, you can call me Nez. Tim calls me Nez all the time. I love it. A lot of my friends call me Nez. But Professor Nez it's sort of like trying to kind of use that title that my students actually coined. My students actually coined this about 15 years ago. And it's just stuck with me ever since. And I like the sound of it. And it just sounds more professional. It works for what I do with my branding as well. But I would never make somebody call me, my parents didn't name me Professor.
Wouldn't that Little did they know.
Yeah, wouldn't that be funny if they did?
That is funny. By the way, I wanted to acknowledge that there's a Brad Friedman out in the audience today.
Oh, yeah.
And he must be one of your constituents. And I wanted to thank you for showing up, Brad.
Yeah, Brad's great. He has a great show. Brad's Live. I was on his show recently. I'm going to get him on Nez Nation Live too very soon. Brad, hit me up if you're there.
Cool. So I wanted before we're going to wrap this up so you're not late to your next appointment. But one of the things I wanted to point out, but on the DIYLivestreamingshow.com page and the event page, your links are all entered there, and
good.
they're highlighted in blue, so people click on them, it'll take them right to these various resources.
And just to be on a simple note, if you just Google Professor Nez, you'll see my LinkedIn. Just Google literally Professor Nez. All my social, everything is Professor Nez. My YouTube channel, so my website. So please reach out to me. And if you need services, if you need anything, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to talk to you on the phone. I'm happy to go in depth.
Yeah, so there's no reason not to connect with Professor Nez if you would like to, and we've given you every opportunity to do so and all the facility. If you have any questions, please let us know. But before we let you go, because I just don't want to just turn you loose after all of this, it's been a great engagement. I really appreciate you being here. But is there anything you want to leave the people? Now, my audience they're all newbies and entrepreneur intermediates.
Yes.
That are basically looking towards live streaming and marketing in the 21st century. Right. So any last words you want to leave them with that maybe we didn't get to say?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. I want to just say I've been on a few shows now in the past, 6 or 7 months. And I got to say, this has been the most professional. And I'm really impressed.
Yes.
I'm serious. I've been on a lot of shows, not a lot of shows. But I've been on a few shows, and I got to say, you guys are doing a great job. And I just want to say thank you. This has been an absolute honor. I feel very comfortable. The questions are thoughtful and provocative and demonstrate, real understanding of what I'm about. So I just want to say thank you and just keep up the great work,
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely. So what I want to leave your audience with when it comes to live streaming, understand one thing. Get to know who you are. Investigate what it is exactly you think that you can offer, to an audience. Hopefully you've done a little bit of research and you've investigated that audience, and execute and do it. Stay in your own specific sphere. You don't have to talk about things that are trending. You don't have to talk about things that are outside of your scope. Stay within your wherewithal and you will win. Stay within your own expertise. Stay within your own knowledge. Stay within something that you love to talk about. And I guarantee you will find your audience. The last thing I want to say is consistency. You have to go live. If you're serious about it, go all in. And you have to go live even on those days where everything in your body is aching, or your mental is not there, your health isn't there, or you just don't feel like doing it. You really have to do it when you don't feel like doing it, okay? It's kind of the same thing as going to the gym. There's always that little hump. Oh, gosh, I just got off work. I'm tired. Do I really want to go to the gym? I could just always go tomorrow. And because, you get into that kind of mindset, and then, oh my goodness, it turns into not going to the gym, turns into a week, 2 weeks, 6 months, and then you're 30 pounds overweight. And you always feel better when you overcome that hump. So my main thing I want to leave your audience with, Roland and Tim, is consistency. Do it consistently. You will get better. Go back and look at some of my early streams. They are garbage, absolute garbage. So it's okay. That's how it is. You will get better. My YouTube videos, my early YouTube videos, I cringe. It's capital C cringe factor. You will get better. Do it, execute, know your intention, know who you are, and be consistent.
Very well put. Thank you so much for the kudos, by the way. But you said a few things there that you basically have to rewatch the show just to hear what you just said in the last 3 minutes. And the one thing I want to highlight is you said the audience will come. So many people are like, where's your target audience? Got to go out and grab those people and grab them by the scruff of the neck and get their attention and interrupt what they're doing and get them to follow you. And it's like, I know that that's not true.
Right.
If you just focus on what your thing is, focus on you and what your thing is, the audience will be there. It might take a little bit of time, but the audience will be there, and they will be more than targeted. They will be followers, fans, and brand ambassadors.
Absolutely.
So we're going to wrap things up, and I really appreciate what you just said. So I'm going to go back and listen to the entire interview myself. But Tim, thank you very much for wrangling for us and for your contributions today, and for introducing me to Professor Nez.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that totally.
Likewise. And by the way, guys, before we get out of here, if I may, if I have your permission, I'd love to link this video to my channel, if that's okay.
Absolutely. It's our honor.
Okay, fantastic.
I really would appreciate it. So
yes.
So stay tuned. We have a real quick flash of Professor Nez's picture and his website and so forth. But we're going to say good day now from Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. Thank you, everyone, for participating, for watching, and we'll see you next week. Did I even start the music? I think I did. And with that, we'll be saying goodbye. Have a great weekend.